This is me, Spoon Beast.
Hey everybody, how's it going? Me back again for yet another video. I kind of had this in mind for last week. A lot of things came up. Couldn't really get it done. They were going to do it right now, and who knows how long I can ride the Smash Brothers bandwagon thing in terms of making videos. I really did do a bunch of, I really did fill up time before E3. I mean, it was so long. It was half a year. And I'm still talking about it. It doesn't really matter because this is now we've done speculation. Now we're doing more speculation after the only thing we talked about was the initial trailer. Because really, that's the only news that matters until decent reveals start happening for it. And also, I plan to talk about the same thing for Kingdom Hearts 3 and maybe other games that I care about when I hear that they're coming out. Maybe this is a way to kind of delve into a different style topic. It still has to do with Smash Bros. As you'll see from the title. And it's fairly Smash Bros. Video, but it's gonna kind of have its own little section when I get to it. But it's control types for Super Smash Bros. For Wii U. Now we all know how the Nintendo Super Smash Bros. For Nintendo 3DS is going to play out. Just like how you play any other game on there, you're gonna have the regular buttons, the colored buttons for attacking. You use the D-pad to move and jump, which is a part of moving. I mean, you're only going up in the air. So you have it's going to be fairly obvious on how you control. Now, it might be the same for Super Smash Bros. For Wii U. The Wii U version could have just one control type, but given in the past game we've had 4 control types, we're talking in Brawl. Now, I'm not counting Super Smash Bros. On Nintendo 64, which you can only use the 64 controller at the time, and same with the GameCube controller for Melee. But with Brawl, they introduced something a little different. They let you kind of customize with your playstyle a little bit. You're able to play with the Wii Remote by itself on its side, like in a regular NES or Super Nintendo controller. You're able to play with it with the Nunchuk attached, so you'd have like the Wii Remote rate, like this, and then you control the analog stick this sort of direction. That was a common combination for many games for Wii at the time. I remember there was plenty of different mini games for WarioWare that also had the same thing going on. So it was not uncommon, and by the time Brawl came out, that was a fairly common combination. Was using the nunchuck with the Wii Remote to do different things together. Another control type was being able to plug in the Wii Classic controller to the Wii Remote, and you could play using that control type. Or the most popular method for Brawl, because everybody loved the control style in Melee, was actually plugging in a GameCube controller to the ports for the backwards compatible controllers on the top of the Wii, and playing with a GameCube controller for Brawl like you'd use it like you would in Melee. And that was the most famous method. And that's the method I used when I first started playing. But all my GameCube controllers are now debunked, and they're bugging up, and they're broken, and a lot of buttons are sticking, and they're not fun to play anymore. So as the past few years, I've been playing Brawl with the Wii Remote on its side. And I've gotten really, really good with doing that. At least decent for casual play. I don't play as hardcore as I used to anymore. If you were to play me today, you'd probably kick my ass horribly. I am extremely rusty, and it's just for fun play. Like, I'll play with some friends or whatever. Or me and my friend will team up, and we'll take on really low-level bots for the hell of it, or we'll make them really, really high, and then they can kick our ass in any of the 3 games. And it's a fun time. I don't really take it that, I never really took it seriously before, but now it's like I really just play to play as certain characters. Like, you got your Sonics and Brawl, certain characters in Melee, even though the character I really liked in Melee came back in Brawl. And Brawl's the best because it's got the best roster of the 3 of them. Even though, the tournament crowd loves Melee for its speed, I really don't care about that. To me, it's all about the selection of characters. And yes, the stages do matter too. You could argue Melee had the better stages, though I think there's a lot more diversity in Brawl. But the character roster is what matters. And now we're getting kind of off topic. So to stray things back along, you had 4 major control types. I used the Wii Remote on its side now. I used to use the GameCube controller. That's the method most people used when Brawl came out. But they went one step further with Brawl as well. You could also, in your own profile and for the different player slots, customize what the buttons did. That means, like, for the Wii Remote on its side, 1 and 2 on the side are basically your A and B attacks. The D-pad is to move around and jump, and you can kind of switch between what they did. For the start button, this, that, and the other. B was shield, which was kind of awkward, but after a while you kind of get used to it. You can switch and modify all that around, even for the GameCube controller, even for the classic controller, even for the Nunchuk and Wii Remote combination. You could just do all this kind of cool modification to whatever you wanted it to be. And no other Smash game did that before. So Brawl was basically the first one to really offer a new style of playing for multiple different people. It gave you an option of which control type you wanted to use and how you wanted to use it. And they were up to 4, and you could customize all 4 of them depending on how you wanted to play. So that's very interesting, and it got me thinking. Are they going to do the same thing with Super Smash Bros. 4 Wii U? I would hope to think so, though a very common thing that's going around is them perhaps just using the Wii U Pro controller. Now, for those of you who don't know, it basically looks like an Xbox 360 controller, though the buttons are where the second analog stick would be on the 360 controller, and they're kind of swapped. Where the analog stick would be, the buttons are, and where the buttons are, the analog stick is. So when we play with it, it's going to be kind of like you're playing on an angle, like the N64 controller. Your hand's going to be up here to move around, and you're going to be pressing all the fucking buttons on a diagonal slant, like that. It's really odd. It looks like a 360 controller, but the analog stick and buttons are swapped around where they would be on a 360 controller. That's what it looks like. And a lot of people are presuming that this is going to be the main control method for Smash Brothers, which I guess is fine. I believe the controller's a pack, and you can buy extras, for multiplayer. So I have no problem with that, but should we really just cut off Smash Brothers having so many different control types from Brawl? I mean, wouldn't it be taking one step back to go back to the formula of Melee or Smash 64 to just go back with one control scheme? Especially when all these controllers still work. The Wii Remote and Nunchuk are still used on the Wii U in whatever kind of fashion. The Wii Remote and Nunchuk thing that pairing isn't really all that used for anything. It's used here and there, but it's not as popular as it was for many of the early games on the Wii, per se. But it still exists. And to kind of show that it's a successor to Brawl, I believe that playstyle should still be eligible for gameplay in the game. I mean, one of my friends got really, really good with adapting to playing with the Nunchuk attached to the Wii Remote, that combo. So if that were to return for the game, he has an instant playstyle he remembers from Brawl that he'll be able to use for the game. Myself, I think they should also bring back the Wii Remote on its side. I mean, if Wii Remotes are still being used thoroughly for the Wii U, why not? I mean, it seems like it's such a given. And I have a playstyle I can pick up right away. Just pick it up and play like an old school control like I was doing before. With I'm sure it'll be easy to pick up on the Pro controller, but you still got to learn. It's still a control you got to learn. As I said, the layout's really awkward for Smash Brothers. Maybe for platforming games it works a lot better, or maybe even for racing. But for something where it's really button heavy on hitting your combos, where they're placed on the Wii U Pro controller is very odd to me. It seems like it should be where the second analog stick is. The analog sticks are like completely horizontally apart from each other on the controller, and the buttons are underneath. So I don't know if that I guess if the N64 controller, you can make that feel comfortable after getting used to it. I can get comfortable using that, in a sense. So that's that. So if it is just the Pro controller, like every game seems to be using for the Wii U, I don't know. I don't own one, but I've been hearing a lot that Nintendo has basically been trying to phase out the Wii U tablet controller. And yes, that's the fourth option I was going to use for this. And I have my claims. But we'll get into a little build-up to me talking about the tablet controller. I think it should be a form of play because that was originally the gimmick for this console. That's what they marketed on. That's kind of like the cool little unique feature of the console. And they really showed a lot of cool stuff when it was first unveiled at E3 2011, over 2 years ago. For whatever reason, Nintendo is really starting to phase it out. They're using the Pro controller for a lot more games. They're not really using the tablet controller for anything unique. And when you can use it, all it really does is mirror the television screen. So it might show like a menu for the game you're playing, and then when you get off the TV, it'll mirror it on the TV. Or it'll just mirror what you're seeing anyway, and you can just look down and play it like a handheld. That's what I'm hearing. It's doing a lot of mirroring. Like, for instance, New Super Mario Bros. U. New Super Mario Bros. A very innovative platformer. Take a 3D-looking character and shove him in a 2D-looking environment with 3D enemies. awesome. It was a big new thing for the DS. It was really innovative for the time, and it was just seemed like it was such a fit when it finally came as a new Super Mario Brothers Wii, because it fit. Like you would expect that you could. And with that, they gave innovations for the Wii. You know, you spin the controller way, you can attack a certain way. You move it up, you can jump. It was really cool. It wasn't entirely based on moving your fucking arms around like an idiot, but you still did certain twists and turns to be able to pull stuff off in the game based on the Wii's controllers. For New Super Mario Bros. U, you would have thought for some way that this awesome series would be able to incorporate its gameplay into this tablet control. Maybe you could throw items at Mario that you collect from the touch of the tablet. You touch it and you throw it, and Mario catches it on the other side of the TV. And that's just something I can create off the top of my head. Maybe you can, access it as a secret little menu device thing and give it to your character. No, apparently all it did, from the people I hear about, it was mirror the television screen. What you seen on the TV was the only thing that showed up on the actual tablet screen, in between the D-pad and the other gaming buttons. So if that's one of the first major Mario titles for the Wii U, and all it did was mirror the television screen on the tablet and had no real connectivity with it whatsoever, it makes you really think what they're going to do for Smash Brothers. Now, believe me, Smash Brothers is no game that needs any extra swapping and throwing shit from the tablet or doing any secret menu checks or anything extensive like that. It should just be used for people who want to have a new challenge for learning a new gaming style. For me, learning the Wii Remote on its side was a quite challenging thing for Smash Brothers Brawl. It took some time, it took some care, and I got used to it. It's the gameplay style I picked up after all my GameCube controllers conked. So I had to adapt, and I had to pick it up because they were the only thing left. I could not, for the life of me, get used to the feeling of a Nunchuk and the Wii Remote combination. I could not pick that style up for whatever reason. The Wii Remote on side felt more comfortable to me, and it was a new style. I had to pick it up. So for me, tablet controller kind of simulates the same kind of perspective. By this time, the Wii Remote, if it comes back, along with the Wii Remote and Nunchuk combo, if that comes back as well, they're well-known gameplay techniques that were introduced in Brawl. They're basically the GameCube controls of this generation. Then you have the Pro Controller, which is basically taking place of the classic controller. Though the Wii Remote and the Nunchuk are taking back their old spots, Wii Pro Controller is basically taking back the spot of like a GameCube controller, where it's like, for the hardcore, we need an actual legit controller-looking thing to play the game. That's for that crowd, which I may very well end up being a part of. I don't know. It depends on which, especially if it's mandatory. If that's the only control type they're going to go for, then I'm certainly going to need to get more than one, the one that comes as a pack-in. But the tablet would represent just this new controller that might be a lot of fun to play as. And hell, you can switch the TV off the input, and you'd still get the mirrored image of the game. You could fuck around with people and switch it off the input, and then just attack them when you're the only one who could see what's going on from your tablet. They're like, oh, what the fuck, man? You just turn off the TV? Just saying, that would be a part of your advantage, because all it would do is mirror the TV screen. There's absolutely no reason whatsoever as to why you'd add anything more extensive. Unless, of course, there's some sort of mode where you're nothing but a destructive force. And what you're doing is you're choosing options where you're throwing shit at the screen from the tablet that actually fucks around the people who are playing. Like, let's say there are 4 players that are all playing. Let's say they're using a combination of the Wii Remote and Nunchuk, and let's say maybe 2 Pro controllers. And you're just this 5th connected thing, and you're only connected through the tablet, and you're basically the one who's fucking shit up and causing destruction and making their game miserable, and you're just this mischief maker. That would make sense, but that would only include not being involved in the actual fight. It's an interesting concept that I'm going to give credit to Mike Payton of Keeping Kayfabe fame. You can find him through it's connected to Smart at the moment. It's youtube.com/keepingkayfabe. He runs various other things, Mega Powers Radio as well. But he gave this to a podcast that I did, and I'm going to do another shout out here. A podcast that I contribute to once in a while called I Got Gameplay. Now, on that episode, I was basically the main host, and we talked about the history and future of Super Smash Bros. As a franchise. And we brought up the control plays. He brought up being the destructive force that kind of attacks people through using the tablet through any mischievous means. And I thought that that was very interesting, and it's basically the only way you could use it gimmick-wise that's not just mirroring the TV and learning how to play with a broader controller. However, if either of those two come up, it'd be awesome, and I think it should be a playable controller. I think they should go back to using 4 controller techniques for this game. It can only do good, and it's another step forward rather than like 3 steps back. The last game had multiple controls with customization. The 4th game and the successor should as well. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up. If you hate it, give it a fucking thumbs down. You know the deal. You can follow me on Twitter at SpoodBeast if you so want to. And of course, you can find my Facebook, which is linked to my channel as well. So like those, you can kind of be connected to stuff that's not really on the channel. If you follow my tweets, I tweeted that I'd be doing something like this very, very soon. So you get kind of an inside scoop on things. Of course, like always, visit www.fanboysanonymous.com for all the publications work on that website. We do such a good job producing various different content for various things, all things geek-related. So, if you have any ideas and anything for this channel, or you'd like to see me talk about something different, you can always inbox me, shoot me a comment, add me on Skype. You know the deal. You know how to get in touch with me. See you later, folks. Have a great weekend.